Coming to you from the Lydia Media Studios in the heart of Lewiston, Auburn, Maine, it's Lydia's Lunch Bunch, LA's afternoon morning show with Mark and Pam today, because Sarah's not only not here, she's in Texas.
She's in Texas.
What is she doing in Texas?
I would say enjoying the weather, but it's actually really nice here too. So
yeah, that's true.
Maybe enjoying some good food and the scenery.
I think she may be there for a work conference.
I think she's actually working.
Yeah. But that's only a few hours a day. Did you find out where she was in Dallas?
Yes, Grapevine area, which is a really nice area.
Oh.
Lots of good things and fun things to do in that area. So
awesome.
She's having a good time. I hope she's trying some wine.
Oh, I'm sure. I have no doubt.
Grapevine, obviously there's some wine there. So.
That's right. Sarah will be back with us next week. We are covering news and events in the greater LA area and talking to the people making a difference in our community. Give us a listen at lydiamediallc.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And feel free to share your comments, questions, or suggestions via email at podcast@lydiamediallc.com. Today's show is brought to you by UPI Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, serving residential and commercial customers with new installations and repairs. Call today and schedule your oil and gas boiler cleanings at 754-4556. UPI, the best plumbers around. And by Roopers Beverage and Redemption. When it comes to weekend refreshments, don't botch it, squatch it at 6 locations in Lewiston, Auburn, and Oxford. Learn more at roopersbeverage.com. And remember, the party starts at Roopers.
And it's not just for the weekend.
That's right.
This week we have Tasting Tales Tuesday and Thursday, so
we're doing double duty this week.
Be rough. Right. It's going to be rough.
If you would like to be part of the Lydia's Lunch Bunch advertising family, reach out to Pam Ashby via email at pam@lydiamediallc.com. Our guest today is a cancer survivor and a Dempsey Challenge participant, Vernon Cox. How you doing?
Mark. For an old guy, I'm doing just good.
Oh, come on. For a young guy, you're doing good.
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We are going to talk all about your cancer journey and your participation in the Dempsey Challenge, which is happening. It's days away now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. It's Saturday, but we get our packets and stuff Thursday and Friday.
All right. Before we get to that, let's take a look at some headlines for Tuesday, September the 17th.
The Sudden Journal reports that the Androscoggin County Commission will hold a public hearing on the proposed $20.3 million budget for 2025. At nearly $2 million more than the current budget, it will raise county taxes by more than 15%. The meeting will be held tomorrow at 5:15 p.m. on the second floor of the courthouse in Auburn.
Senator Susan Collins introduced legislation that would require the military to use state crisis intervention laws to remove weapons from service members who are deemed a serious threat to themselves or others. The bill follows an independent commission's report that found the Army Reserve and local police failed to take advantage of the state's crisis intervention laws prior to the mass shooting in Lewiston.
Lewiston Public Works is starting a 6-week project to repair the culvert on Old Webster Road. The road will be closed during construction and access through the work zone will be restricted. The city is asking residents to use Webster Street to access homes on Old Webster Road.
And the Maine Legislature's Health and Human Services Committee voted 10-2 to recommend confirmation of Acting Commissioner Sarah Gagne-Holmes to serve as Commissioner of the Maine Department of Health and Human Services. Governor Mills said Gagne-Holmes' policy and managerial experience and collaborative approach make her the right person at the right time to take on the role.
Weather.
I
mean, wasn't it 2 weeks ago you said this will be the last time we see 80s?
I've never been more wrong in my life.
Whether you like it or not.
That's right.
I love it. The crisp mornings and the 80 days, give it to me.
Same here.
Sunny today with clouds moving in this afternoon, high in the 80s. Cloudy tomorrow and Thursday with highs approaching 80.
We'll take it. In sports, good news is the Red Sox did not lose last night.
Because they didn't play?
They didn't play. The Sox take on the Rays tonight at 7 in Tampa Bay.
Central Maine Community College baseball took advantage of 5 Southern Maine Community College errors en route to a 3-0 win. Mustang pitcher Levi Tibbetts gave up 5 hits and struck out 13 over 7 innings.
That's quite an outing. Well done, Mustangs.
Yeah.
Bates College women's soccer will host the University of New England tonight at 8.
There were no animal noises. I'm distracted.
I know, the sea dogs are done
I
for the
was like,
year.
wait a minute. And you guys said the ponies yesterday, and I wasn't here, and I felt the void.
Vernon knows because you listen, right? You know all the noises that Sarah does.
I hear them, but I don't think I could mimic them. No one can do that like Sarah. She's
try.
wild.
Well, I'll tell you what. Sarah was off a couple of weeks ago, and Pam filled in admirably. Oh yeah.
I mean,
Let's hear that Fisher cat. See?
that's not a Fisher cat. That is
Fisher kitty. That was a Fisher kitty.
High school field hockey. Levitt takes Morris 7-0. Lisbon 4 over Sacopee Valley 0.
In golf, it was Levitt over Erskine Academy 8-1.
In volleyball, Nokomis 3 over Grey New Gloucester with 2.
That is your news, weather, and sports. And right now, it is time for the podcast segment that is sweeping the Twin Cities. It's time for famous people birthdays.
They're famous. It's their birthdays. It's famous people birthdays. It's famous people birthdays.
Let's take a look at FPBs for September the 17th, shall we? We're going to start off with actor and comedian Bobby Lee from Mad TV. He is 53 years old today. He was also in the Harold and Kumar films. I'm not familiar with those, but I have seen him on Mad TV. He's a funny guy. Rapper Vin Rock from Naughty by Nature.
I know
Come on,
Naughty.
Pam.
No, I know Naughty by Nature,
Yeah. You remember Naughty by Nature's big hit?
but
OPP.
Yes,
I can
okay.
explain it. I take it frame by frame it. Vin Rock is 54 years old
are you down with
today.
OPP?
Yeah, you know me.
Do we know what OPP means?
We do. It's not safe for podcasting.
Oh, okay.
Businessman.
That's for other people's podcasts.
Damn. Robert Herjavec of Shark Tank is 61 years old today.
All right.
It used to be one of my favorite shows back in the day, but I found if you watch too much Shark Tank, you start to think of the product that you would be pitching to the sharks, and mine I'm not very proud of. Although I think it would have been a big hit.
Well,
I'm gonna,
please do tell.
I'm going to
Yeah.
tell you.
Yeah,
I need.
we're
So
waiting in
you
bated
two are my
breath.
sharks. Okay, you two are my sharks. My product is called Poop Pass. Everybody who has a
Have
dog
me a poop. Keep going.
likes walking their dog in the park or on the street or whatever. And when the dog does their business, the worst part is picking it up with the bag and then carrying that bag around with you. So Poop Pass, I have a crew of people with GPS navigation. As soon as your dog does his business, you take a picture of it, and that picture is uploaded to the Poop Pass central headquarters, and my crew knows exactly where it is, and they go and they pick it up for you. I am looking for $35 for a 90% stake in my company. What do you guys say?
I'll give you
35.
35.
15, 40.
I was like, I'll give you $35 to just put that idea to bed.
All right, fair enough.
I'll give you a broom and a dustpan, and you can just do the
Okay.
DIY thing.
You guys are gonna be so sorry when I'm living big 5 years from now.
Yes.
Me and Robert Herjavec. Robert's gonna get on board. I know he is. Poop Pass. Puppeteer Kevin Clash is 64 years. Pam looks like she wants to leave right now.
Lydia, we've had enough for today.
Kevin Clash is 64 today, better known as Elmo.
Oh.
He was the puppeteer and the voice of Elmo from 1985 to 2012.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long run.
It sure is. He's also done some puppeteer work and voice work for Labyrinth, Dinosaurs, and various Muppet productions.
I remember dinosaurs. That was
Yeah.
a fun show.
Yeah. Comedian Rita Rudner is 71 years old today. She's hilarious. Ooh, one of the greatest names in music, Fee Waybill of The Tubes, is 76 today. I think their big hit was She's a Beauty back in the 80s.
None of that.
None of that rings a bell. Gotcha. All right. Well, I think this one may. Rounding out our FPBs for September the 17th is Cassandra Gay Peterson. Nothing?
Not yet.
How about Elvira?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Elvira.
Elvira is 73 today.
Wow.
She made a living showing B movies on late night television. It was called Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Oh, yeah. I remember the
get that
picture of
job?
her.
Yes, I'm sure
very
you do.
sultry.
I'm sure you do,
Well,
Vernon.
you know. I'm old. I'm not dead.
Yeah, she was big in the 80s and has done a bunch of stuff on television and movies. And when she was a kid, she saw the movie The House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price, and it changed her life. She was just really interested in horror and the macabre.
He was one of the masters.
He sure was.
Funny, like I can't pinpoint something that said that absolutely changed my path.
Right.
Can you? Do you? Can you think of something like a movie or an instance or
when it comes to comedy? Yes. When I saw George Carlin when I was 12 years old, I saw him on HBO, and it was the first time I'd ever been exposed to stand-up, and I was amazed. And I was like, here's this one guy on stage. He doesn't have a musical instrument. He doesn't have a band or
He's
people
just
behind him.
talking to
He's just
people,
one
making them
guy
laugh.
talking on stage. And the first thing that came to me as a 12-year-old was, what if he has to go to the bathroom? Does the show stop? Does someone come in and fill in? I didn't get it. But yeah, I was fascinated with it ever since then.
My childhood hero turned out not to be a hero, but I really listened to all of Cosby's stuff when I was younger.
Yeah.
Why Is There Air? I mean, I
Right.
just wore those records out.
Right. Yeah, they were great.
My first comedian that I think it was the first stand-up that I saw, and I was probably way too young to be seeing it, was Eddie Murphy.
Oh, was it Raw?
Delirious or Raw? I think it was
Delirious.
Raw first, and then
Gotcha. I got them mixed up. So Delirious is the one with the red
I think so.
suit, and Raw is the one with the purple suit.
I can't remember.
Okay. All right. You just know it was Eddie Murphy.
Yes, it was
Robin
those.
Williams' hefty bag that he wore.
Yeah. Yep.
We went off the rails again.
That trip down memory lane.
No, it's fine. This is what we do.
This is what we do, Vernon. We run a loose ship here.
I'm so used to working years and years in maintenance where everything had to be orderly and specific.
Yeah, well, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, I know.
If you're looking for that. 'Cause-
This is nice. I'm retired now, so that's all
Oh, good.
behind me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good deal. We are going to let you know that if you need a heat pump, you can check the cover. If you need auto repair, that's under the cover. Independent mortgage lender, that's out back. These are just a few of the resources you'll find in the September issue of Uncle Andy's Digest.
Out now.
Along with jokes, funny stories, news items, shout-outs, business spotlights, an events calendar, and advertiser directory, Uncle Andy's Digest is your guide to, well, just about anything. Find him online at uncleandys.com. Vernon Cox is our guest. He is a cancer survivor. He will be participating in this weekend's Dempsey Challenge, and he is also known as the Happy Wanderer. Where did that name come from?
I like that.
So, well, thank you. So I have a wandering eye for adventure. Of course, it doesn't do good on a podcast, but you guys can see it. My eye, they used to call it a lazy eye, and there's nothing lazy about it. My peripheral vision is great. I mean, so during both my cancer and my other challenges in life, I've always been one to look at the positive side. A lot of people would, look at me like I was crazy. However, I always felt that I'm going through, whatever broke, whatever's not fixed on my body, I'm still going through it. So I might as well laugh and let those endorphins wash through my body, make me feel better, than to be all mopey and grieving and sad. Why do that? I'm the happy wanderer.
Have you always been like that?
As long as I can remember, I don't want to go dark and deep, but I was actually physically abused as a child. And I didn't even know that until I was in my 40s, early 40s, and took counseling to find out, because my mom was getting ready to pass, why I was having all these flashbacks. And my counselor actually said, you, as a protection to yourself, you rewrote the stories in your mind. So I always give my mom credit for making me such a good storyteller, because that's where that came from. So I harnessed that.
Do you feel that you use humor as a coping mechanism?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
A lot of us have become aware, too, that sometimes the funniest and happiest people, it is a coping mechanism for a lot of us.
My hero, Robin Williams.
Right,
I mean,
right. And
no one knew
Right.
the pain that he was going through.
yeah. Laughter is a powerful thing, so it helps in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. Vernon, let's talk about your cancer diagnosis a little bit. When did you find out you had cancer? What type was it?
In September of 2016, I didn't know I had cancer. I actually had a bowel obstruction. We couldn't figure out why I couldn't go. And they kept giving me stuff. And then finally, I went and I saw my doctor. He says, look, we're going to do a CAT scan and find out. And on the way home, he called and said, pull over to the side of the road. And usually it was his nurse that called me. And I said, Dr. Barr, what's up? He says, just please, Vernon, he says, you have a tumor the size of your fist in your small intestine.
Wow.
And we need to get it out immediately. So I'm trying to find a surgeon now. This was on a Monday. On a Thursday, Dr. McGilvery took out that tumor. And he told my wife and my daughter all the medical jargon about non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, B, whatever, and that they're on two ends of it there was cancer, and he took that out and he unwrapped my colon. Because of that, I had to have a colonoscopy for 6 months and all this medical stuff. But then at the end, he told them that it was a curable cancer and that, I have a really good prognosis of a cure. And all I heard was blah, 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 cure.
Right.
Yeah.
And from that moment on, the chemo, the radiation, all the other stuff that I had to go through, I just kept reminding myself that this is curable. And for it to be curable, I have to listen. And this goes out to anybody that's ever been sick, whatever illness. You're going to have a lot of people give you suggestions, especially friends and family, and they mean well. Your medical team that you picked have hundreds of years of experience amongst all of them. At the very least, follow their directions. And then if people want you to eat carrots and do other things, by all means, do that. But do not listen to them when they say, you can do this just by diet. No, that tumor left two things in the PET scan showing that I still had cancer. So I went through it. I went through all of that.
What were you feeling mentally when you got the diagnosis?
Once I realized that I, didn't have a bowel obstruction because it was gone, I felt so much better, actually, because the 2 weeks prior, we didn't know what was going on. I just talked to a lady recently that she had a cancer scare this summer, and it was non-malignant. They got it out. There was no cancer. And she was almost apologetic, like she didn't really have cancer. And I said, for the time that the doctor told you had to have this stuff done, to the time they told you were okay, you didn't know whether you were going to die or what.
Yeah.
Everybody's illness, everybody's cancer, whatever, is their own journey. And don't you compare, and don't let anyone else compare or try to diminish what you went through, because they don't know what you went through in your mind.
Right.
I mean, my wife, it got to the point where I told my wife and my daughter, if anybody calls, I don't want to talk about, the CAT scan coming up. We know now that there's something that isn't right. We don't know what it is. But people kept giving me advice. I just didn't want to do it. So they set up one of those medical apps. And from that moment on, throughout my whole journey, they kept everybody appraised. They asked people to make meals when it got to the point that I could eat again. People were bringing frozen foods to help us out. So there's a bunch of them out there, but those apps are really, really good. It was a health update app.
Yeah.
Outside of your doctors and nurses, did you have a strong support system?
Oh, for sure. In the pictures that I sent you as part of my story that's actually on Google, my birthday in May of my 60th year, I had a whole lawn full of people celebrating my 60th birthday. And all of them, and probably twice as much of that, were there for me in October when I found out 5 months later about the cancer. Wow. And I felt that energy. And at the time, I was a storyteller at the Corner. I was involved with Michael Sargent's group. And they all sent me a big virtual hug while I was in the hospital. And that was so, supportive and healing. So, yeah, no one goes through this alone.
Did you receive any support from the Dempsey Center?
I did. Actually, most of my support for the Dempsey Center was for Shanna and the boys. At the time, we were living in Sanford, so I had to drive up to visit them, which I did. But I think Shanna and the boys visited more. They have child therapists there. And, when Bampy all of a sudden looks like he's lost 45 pounds, which I did. It's pretty scary to them. So they helped them navigate. The other thing that the Dempsey Center does really well is, back then I got a backpack. Now they do comfort care individually, like if you need a blanket or if you need, but the McPherson organization had given them backpacks and they used them up until they didn't have any more. But I still have my backpack, and it had a chemo hat in it and a blanket and a bunch of toiletries and stuff. And when you're going through 5 hours of, it's not medicine, they're poisoning you. They even tell you that's what they're doing. You go through 5 hours. It's just nice to have all that stuff there.
Yeah, right there at your fingertips.
Yeah.
That's great, because some people might not know, if they haven't, experienced the Dempsey Center, that it's for the patients, but it's also for the families as well.
Yeah, and all the way around for the families and the patient. They have nutrition, and they have mental health. They have all these other services. If you go to their website, even if your family member that's sick doesn't want to go to the Dempsey Center, they're still there for you. They'll help you as well. Again, no one goes through it alone. It affects everybody, and they have all those resources to help you out. They do an awesome job there, and that's why I'm paying back now.
Yeah, and all of those resources are free. That's where the Dempsey Challenge comes in. It is the primary fundraiser for the Dempsey Center. It's an annual event. And Vernon, this is your first year doing it.
This is my first year.
You're going to cycle. What inspired you to register for the Dempsey Challenge?
So last year I did the Trek Across Maine, the virtual, and I did 182 miles, but I did it at my own pace. I couldn't do 180 miles in 3 days like those courageous heroes. I can't do that. But I didn't do it this year, and I thought, last year I gave back. I need to. And then I was doing my Lewiston Loop bike riding, and all of a sudden it hit me that I haven't done the Dempsey Challenge, and I always said that I would give back to them in some way. And between now and the time that, I didn't win any lotteries, and no one really gave me a lot of money, so this is my way to do it. The level that I'm at, I needed to raise $400. There's a registration fee. And I was kind of really freaking out because I made that really quick with the Trek of Maine. But it was really slow. And I thought, well, maybe it's because the Dempsey folks aren't really advertising a lot yet. This was back in July. And then I thought, no, I think it's because all these politicians on all sides keep telling people to send them $5. Everybody's been $5 to death. So what really helped me to turn it around was I volunteer for Mr. Drew and his animals too, which I know you know him because he speaks the world of you. And he's been very helpful to me because, well, for one thing, he's one of my largest donors. He donated. But he said, Vernon, you do those photo logs, but you really need to do some videos. You need to figure out Facebook Live. So when I first figured it out, I didn't have enough followers. If you don't have 100 followers, they don't let you do it. So I did a video of myself, posted it online, begging people to follow. Now I have followers. So this whole experience, I've learned a lot of things. And between Mr. Drew and, of course, my baby Shanna, who knows these things, so I started doing that stuff. And now I think I'm $540. And instead of resetting my goal, because the goal was set at 400, I set my goal for 4,000. So we got 2 days, folks, the 19th. Let's surprise everybody and hit my goal of 4,000.
So the event is happening on Saturday. How many miles are you riding?
I'm riding the 15 miles.
15. This seems like it's going to be a different ride for you.
Oh, this whole experience. I mean, I'm starting to well up now. October 6th is the day that in 2016 that Dr. McGilvery took out my tumor. If he hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have survived because I wouldn't have, I hadn't eaten for 2 weeks at that point. When they let me out of the hospital and I finally was on solid food, it had been over a month since I had solid food. So that's my gifted day. October 6th, every year I celebrate. I've lived 8 years thanks to the Dempsey Center and Dr. McGilvery and Dr. Zawalski, whose first name was Elizabeth, so I called her Dr. Easy. She was awesome. She was my mama bear. All of the people on Facebook that were there for me, I wouldn't be here. And that's why the then and now was so important, those memes I made, because it shows me having chemo, shows me at the lowest of my life. And on the 2024 side, it shows me having fun and enjoying life. And now I'm retired and I'm volunteering at Mr. Drew's and I'm riding my bike all over the state of Maine and Colorado. Yeah, I'm very blessed. Yeah, this means people say you're taking it too personal. Yep.
It is
I
personal.
sure am.
You're allowed. I worked at the center for about 5-6 years. I had the privilege of interviewing a lot of cancer patients and survivors. They have a much different outlook on life than people who have never experienced what you went through.
Yeah, don't waste a moment.
Do you feel your outlook on life has changed since you're...
For sure.
Yeah.
I had a positive outlook before.
Right.
I mean, actually, Dr. Stavalsky, that's one of the things that she said was at 60 years old, I was a working electrician at the time on an airfield. So I was in good physical shape, walking all the time. And my positive outlook, she said, most of my patients come, they're already beat down before they even get started with the chemo, because they're frail. And now I'm 68 going on 6, and I pop in and out of Mr. Drew's mind, play with kids and dig for rocks. And
Living your best life.
I'm living my best life.
Yeah.
When you face what you faced and my wife has faced and what so many others have faced, you realize what's important in life
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. The old book, Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, It's All Small Stuff, becomes not just a reality, but a mantra, in your head.
Yes.
You check. Every time you start to feel anxious about something, you do a mental check. Really? Come on now. You're here. I want to repeat that again because that's important. We're here.
Yeah.
You're dead for a long time. I could have been dead for 8 years already. I don't want to start that soon.
Not ready.
Just saying.
Oh my goodness. You're ready to go this weekend.
I am
You
ready.
can't wait for Saturday.
And anybody
on.
that wants to, not just myself, but any of the walks, runs, rides. Some people are energetic enough, they're going to do both this year. This is the first time they're doing the do-a-thon thing.
Yeah.
So please, if you see people and they've got the bibs on, root for them even if you don't know them. Yeah. They need your encouragement, not just because of what they're doing, but what they're going through while they're doing it.
And who they're doing it for.
And who
Yes.
they're doing it for. Yes. Yeah, that's the other thing. Bobby and I, this will be the first time we've ever done a cancer walk anywhere. And I'll be thinking of my dad who died of lung cancer at the same time. So like you said, everybody's been touched in some way or another.
Yes. Absolutely.
Vernon, is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners? You have any words of wisdom for us?
Well, from the Happy Wanderer's perspective, folks, wherever you go, there you are. Make the best of it.
I love it.
We like to close our little show with 3
Here
random
it comes.
questions.
I've heard you get Shannon and others.
Oh.
You've been waiting all morning
I'm not prepared,
for this.
but I'm ready.
Well, I'll tell you, 3 random questions. It's impossible to prepare for.
Right,
We just
right.
spring these
'Cause they're
questions on
random.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're kept in a safe. And when it's
my
time,
synapses don't shoot like they used to.
That's totally fine.
Sometimes I get misfire.
you're in the right room. I will tell you, though, something interesting that happened inside the studio. Lydia's here. For anyone who doubts the wonderfulness of dogs, Lydia was over here hanging out by Pam, just laying down. And as Vernon's telling his story, she went over to him, sat with him for a little
Be there
bit,
for
and
him.
then laid down.
Yeah.
She was there for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Dogs are amazing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, thank
Thanks,
you.
Mark.
That's important.
All righty. Vernon Cox, question number 1. If you could describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Animated chaos, hilarity.
Totally accurate.
Who gave you the weirdest gift? Or what was the weirdest gift you've received if you don't want to out anybody on who
I'm
it
going to
was?
flash back to the first time I was on the show in 2021 with my daughter. It wasn't really a gift, but on April Fool's, I got her really good because of a long glove. And I was washing the dishes. She came over and pulled. It was one of those abatement gloves that they use in asbestos. It went all the way up to my armpit, and she pulled and she pulled. So later that day at lunch, I was eating a bologna sandwich, and her gift was a piece of cardboard in it that said "Happy April Fool's, Dad." So she got me good. So yeah, I guess does that qualify?
It sure does.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. You're doing great. Vernon, if you were not an electrician, if you weren't an electrician for your chosen career, what would you be?
I would have been a teacher.
Why?
My storytelling name used to be Learnin' Vernon, because
Learnin' Vernon.
it's not just a storytelling name. It was a mission statement. I believe I'm 68 going 6. I tell the kids all the time when I'm talking about rocks and minerals with them, you never stop learning. And our teachers do so much. I don't think they get enough credit. But also, I think mentors, there's people out there that are mentoring that have no degrees in teaching whatsoever, but they just know what they know. And they share it with love and enthusiasm to adults and kids everywhere. It's a very noble profession. I wanted to be a medic, and I did that in the service. But if I did my life all over again and I had a choice, I'd have done something in education.
I think we've been educated here this morning.
We have.
Any particular age group that you'd like to teach?
I like the kids 6 to 12. Those are the kids that their minds are really open and absorbent.
Yes.
Not that the others aren't, but there's a lot of drama going on in their lives, the 12 and older, and you have to navigate through that.
Yeah.
And if you teach every day, you can do that. But if you're like me and you get different people every day, you can't make a difference with that.
All right, Vernon, I'm getting word from the judges, and this hardly ever happens. Your answers were so good, you made it to the bonus round.
Oh, look, Shanna, hold on.
We got to get a sound effect for that. Pam.
Yes,
like
we-
a ding, 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 ding.
There we go.
We have one.
Now we have
Good
it.
thing we're recording.
Sorry. That's how people feel when you give that. It's like, oh no, I just got through the
Yeah.
3. He's going to give me another one.
It's funny. We had some guests last week, and I told them that, and they were like, "Really?" They're looking
Bring it
around,
on.
expecting confetti to fall from the ceiling.
Bring it
And
on.
unfortunately, it's not that exciting. I have a question that I like to ask. I used to ask it all the time, and now we're bringing it back.
We have a guest.
Because we're not that far. Oh, Vinny's here. Hi,
Yeah.
Vinny. Vinny is our shop corgi.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
petted her.
Oh, I know. I'm telling the
Oh, I'm
listeners.
sorry.
You're here, so I figured you knew. Vernon, what did you learn about yourself during COVID?
Oh, that I could stay in a basement and work for 56 days? I was a project manager for a Harefield electrical company in Ohio. And Bobby and I had stuff that we bought through Prime. And
You and the rest of the country.
Yeah. And on a weekday when everyone else was either at home or working, we would sneak out and go into one of the metro parks. And if people got like 6 feet, 8 feet with us, we'd put our masks on because that was early on and we didn't know what we didn't know. And then we would go to McDonald's through the drive-thru and eat in a car. And that one trip would get us through another week or two
Right on.
There we go.
because we were going nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is another part of the show. It's a new part of the show that we're doing. And
You
it's-
just make this up and you're trying to...
No. If
I
you
know
don't-
you, so-
No, if you don't want to partake,
No, go ahead.
It's totally fine.
Shoot it.
But we partnered with Roopers, and every week we're doing something called Tasting Tales, where we sample a bit of alcohol and then review it.
Oh.
So if you don't want to partake, that's not a problem.
No, sure I will.
There's no judgment here. All the listeners are thinking it's noontime, so it's okay.
Yeah. But Mr. Drew's going to see me show up in an hour and a half. He's going, what's on your breath?
I have mints. You're safe.
Yeah, they're just
Pam's
real
spilling her
small
secrets.
portions,
Yes.
Mr. Drew.
So you up for it?
Sure.
All righty. This is Tasting Tales, a special Tuesday edition of Tasting Tales.
Yes.
We usually do it on Thursdays, but because Vernon's here, we're going to celebrate.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
going to
usually
celebrate.
a Bacardi
Celebration.
rum guy.
Bacardi rum?
Yeah,
All right.
just
Sorry, this is
2 fingers, Mark, like this.
Gotcha.
Bobby gives it to me like this.
I like Bobby.
I know that does work. She's awesome.
We have single barrel Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey finished in port wine barrels. It's called Angel's Envy. It is a special select exclusive to Roopers.
I am really excited about this because I'm a beer and cider guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
I rarely ever do anything like this.
So I have been to Kentucky and have done my fair share of whiskey tastings. The trick is you take a sip, and then after your first sip, you drip a drop or two of water in there, and then you take another sip, and it totally changes the flavor and profile of the whiskey. And that's why some people drink it straight up or on the rocks, or some people just put a little bit of water in it they don't want it cold. They just want to change the profile of the taste a little bit. So I did bring a little water in so we could do that.
Okay.
All right.
Here's to you,
so,
here's to me, here's to we never disagree. If we do to you, here's to me.
I was wondering if we were going to get a bark.
we need to bring Vernon back for every tasting tale.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
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 Thanks a lot for having me.
Absolutely.
Little sip, right?
Nice burn and right up into the nose.
It sure does, doesn't it?
Oh,
It
and
infiltrates
I'm
your
not
nostrils.
complaining.
Me
No,
neither.
It's like, whew. So that's what the good top shelf booze tastes like.
There it is.
Boone's Farm, no more.
Boone's Farm. You're kidding, right?
Oh, it's been at least 5 decades.
Oh boy.
So new experience for you, Mark. What are you thinking?
You know, it's a lot smoother
Than
than
you
I
were
was
expecting.
Yes. I was expecting to make a face after I took a sip because, again, this isn't my thing. I'm a beer and cider guy.
Right, and it is very different than beer or cider,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah. So that's number one.
Smooth.
Not what I was expecting as far as taste or flavor goes, because it's really smooth. And like Vernon said, as soon as he said, "Here comes the burn," that's what I felt. Like it came up through the nostrils.
And
but
it's a burn, just like a warming burn.
Yeah,
it's
yes.
not
Yeah,
like
it's not
a
a negative
gasoline
thing.
burn, like,
No.
oh boy.
I
Yeah.
understand
It's
why
exhilarating.
why
It's-
people drink this to warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
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 It is a great fall, winter nightcap. you know.
Sure.
Yeah. So, all right. So I'm
Vernon,
going to.
what did you think?
That's what you said, definitely.
Top shelf, right?
Top shelf. It's really good.
I'm just going to drop a little bit of water.
It may not shake me away from rum, but
And Pam,
And-
judging by the bottle, I'm guessing you've had it before.
A couple times.
that's the way to impress your boss.
Vernon, thanks for coming to my last day. I appreciate it.
We'll hang out tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was thinking when you took the picture. I'm like, now everyone's going to see how empty this bottle is now.
Hey, we got
We've
Photoshop.
had it for a few
Yeah,
weeks.
there's
We've had it
Photoshop.
for
Yeah.
a few weeks.
I use
so
that PowerPoint stuff where you put a square over it and give it a different color.
Right on.
Perfect.
So you added some water. Now
Yes.
it's going to happen.
Do we swirl it?
You can. I mean, you're just going to do the same thing you did with the first. You just take
Okay.
a little sip, and then you can describe how different and whether you like it better before or after the water. Mm-hmm. So I didn't
Wow.
experience a huge difference with this one, but I have before with just, it was funny when I was in Kentucky and we had this big whiskey tasting. They literally gave us a dropper to
Okay.
like experience the difference between the whiskey before and after. And I did experience a big difference in the palate and the flavor and things like that. With this one, not as much, but you don't need a big change, I think.
Right. I was
think
going to
it-
ask if it's because it starts off so smooth, just out of the bottle. Maybe that's why there's not
Yeah,
a huge difference there.
Probably. This makes a great old fashioned, talking from experience. But it also, as we're experiencing now, it's a great sipper.
All right, Pam, what was this again?
This is Angel's Envy.
Angel's
Rupert, and it's
Envy.
right on the label. It says Rooper's Beverage. So it is
neat wings on the back of the
yes,
bottle.
angel
which is
wings
cool.
for Steve Roop himself. He's the legend
So cool.
Yeah.
of
What a
Roopers.
great way to honor his memory.
Yes, he was another one that just so positive, so giving,
The
so
Make-A-Wish, I did that the year that both Shanna and Joe Philippon got pied by Slugger. So that was
Yeah, Steve Roop also had dad jokes for days.
Oh, I bet.
Yep, he'd come onto the show, and during the breaks, we'd just dad joke back and forth.
Do you remember your favorite one?
There's something about squirrels and nuts. That was his favorite as well.
Something you can't say on the air.
True.
That was probably most of Steve Roop's off-air conversation.
Yes, yes. I made sure to hit the stop button while we were recording.
I kind of wish you kept some of those.
I know. I think a lot of people would. They'd probably pay to listen to them right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, here's to Steve
Here's to
and everyone
Steve.
at Roopers. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Tasting
Stephanie and
Tales
Jesse, thank you.
on Lydia's Lunch Bunch. Thank you for coming in, Vernon.
Thanks for having me.
We much appreciate you. On tomorrow's show, we debut our regular Maine Nordiques visits to Lydia's Lunch Bunch. We have Luke Chappelle and Hutch Rose coming in. They are both players for the Nordiques who open their home season this weekend at the Coliseum.
Amazing.
It's going
I
to be
can't
good
wait.
stuff. Friday and
I'm
Saturday
ready for
night.
hockey.
Yes, they are taking on the stinking New Jersey Titans.
Stinking New
So
Jersey.
let's get out there and pack the Coliseum and cheer on our Maine Nordiques. Our guest today was Vernon Cox, cancer survivor and Dempsey Challenge participant. If you're out there on Saturday, be sure to cheer him on.
And I would like to mention to all of our listeners, too, if you know someone participating in the Dempsey Challenge and you want to give them a shout out, we have a shout out page in Uncle Andy's Digest. Go to uncleandys.com. You can click right on there, submit a picture, all your information, and then it'll be in the October issue of Uncle Andy's if you submit it by Friday.
Vern, thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing your story with us, and best of luck on Saturday.
This was a lot better experience than I thought it was.
I'm not sure what to think about that.
All right, get out. Just get out. Thanks to our sponsors, UPI Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, and Roopers Beverage and Redemption. We'll be talking Maine Nordiques hockey tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Folks, wherever you go, there you are. Make the best of it.